Hello again and welcome to Focus on Social Security here on the Cox Cable Access Channel. I'm Larry Jones from the Oklahoma City Social Security Office, and joining me again this week is Dennis Purifoy, the manager of the Moore District Office, and we're going to talk about Social Security and some of the issues that are coming up at this time. Dennis, good to see you again.
It's good to be back.
And again, we've got a lot of things that we'd like to cover with you this time around, a lot of new things actually that we haven't covered in the past. Dennis has come up with really some good subjects, and of course we have some of the regular things that we normally talk about as well. And Dennis, I thought we might begin today's program on a rather serious note, the fact that immigration is in the news,
Right.
Not directly affecting Social Security, but we've been drawn into it, and it's a matter of these no-match letters. So I thought I might open up the floor to you at this time, talk a little bit about the no-match letters, what that means, and how it ties in with the total immigration picture.
Yeah, immigration is definitely in the news, and we had planned on talking about this. This is what today's paper says: immigration enforcement faces setback. And what that's referring to is that the Social Security had planned on sending out some letters. Right now we're under a court injunction about that. But Social Security sends out letters every year to employers that have a certain percentage and number of employees whose names and numbers don't match up with our records. And the issue now is that the Department of Homeland Security had asked Social Security to piggyback onto those letters, which we've been sending out every year, and sending out a letter to the employers also, reminding them of their responsibilities under the current immigration laws. Anyway, that's been put on hold, but there are several things that, nevertheless, that are moving ahead on the immigration front. And one thing that I want to talk about is what we now call in Social Security E-Verify,
Okay.
which used to be called Basic Pilot, which it was kind of an odd name, but it started off as a pilot program. Now it's called E-Verify. And this is a voluntary program where an employer can go in on this system. When they hire somebody, they can go in on this system and get verification both from Social Security and from the Department of Human Services, Department of Homeland Security. We've used that term DHS in Oklahoma for a long time for Human Services, but I'm talking about Homeland Security. They can get information both from Social Security and the federal DHS as to whether, first of all, whether the Social Security records match up, the name and number, and then whether the person has authorization to work under DHS. So it's called E-Verify, but I want to talk about that just a minute. It's a voluntary program. An employer can use it if they want to. They don't have to use it. There are under the federal government is mandating that people that have contracts with the federal government, contractors, have to use that new E-Verify program. But for the usual employers, they don't have to use it yet.
Okay. And of course, this gets us back to the no-match issue. This is a term that we use at Social Security. Actually, you may have heard that in the news recently and wondered, what does that mean? This is not something new to Social Security. It's actually something we've done for many years, but it's been drawn into this issue of immigration. So why don't you cover that?
Right. The no-match letter simply means that we send out letters to employers saying, hey, you've got a certain number, it's 10 or half of a percent of your employees that you've reported on your W-2 forms that their names and numbers don't match up. Mm-hmm. Now this could simply mean a woman who is married, for example, and didn't change her name on her Social Security records, or it could be that they transposed a number when they were making the W-2 report. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with immigration, but of course, in a large number of cases, it does. Mm-hmm. We do know that there are people that have fictitious Social Security cards, fictitious immigration documents, and so forth, that they show an employer, and the employer uses that Social Security number to report their wages, but it's not a valid number. So that's how the immigration part comes into it. But these no-match letters are simply asking the employer, well, you reported this, and this employee is not going to get credit on their Social Security record unless you correct it. So it's asking the employer to find out what the true number is, or if there's a difference in name or whatever, and get corrective action taken on their Social Security number if necessary, or just for them to report a corrected W-2 form. So that's the whole purpose of it from our standpoint. But again, these no-match letters is the part of the thing that's in the news nowadays is that the Department of Homeland Security was going to piggyback on it. We'll see how that turns out. It's currently, there's I think a federal district court in California or somewhere that's put that an injunction against Social Security from issuing those letters at this time. We'll see what happens in the next several months.
Again, this is an issue that we will revisit because it will be coming back, and we'll bring you an update as they become available, the no-match letters and so forth. This is also a busy time of the year as far as Medicare is concerned because we're getting the new rates at this point. We know that we've got a lot of people filing for Social Security. More and more people every year are coming on the Medicare rolls, and yet there's something about it we haven't discussed in the past. It's called preventative services. For example, like flu shots, and there may be other things as well. Why don't you cover some of that for us here today?
Okay. This is flu shot season. They recommend getting flu shots this time of the year on into middle of November, I think, is the optimal time, but even as late as January. And the thing about a lot of Medicare preventive services is that they have done studies and found out that a lot of the people who are on Medicare don't know that they can get these services, and a lot of these services are free. There's no deductible, there's no cost to the person, and flu shots is one of them. So a person can get a flu shot from any provider they want to, basically, and it's free if you've got Medicare. So that's one of the big ones. There's some other ones. People over 65, they recommend people getting shots for pneumonia, and those shots are free. Though that's usually one-time deal for the pneumonia shot. The flu shot, of course, you have to get every year. One thing that a lot of people don't know too, Larry, is when a person first becomes entitled to Medicare when they turn 65, in the first 6 months that they have Medicare, they're entitled to a free physical. Mm-hmm. It's called the Welcome to Medicare Physical, and it's designed to help a person go to the doctor and say, you know, I may not have had a physical in the last several years, but I want to get some baseline information in here and have some basic checkups. So that's free, and there's a whole range of other preventive services under Medicare. I've just mentioned some of them. For women, mammograms, Pap test, pelvic exams. For men, prostate exams, glaucoma test, hepatitis B shots, bone mass measurements, diabetes self-management. There's several of these kinds of preventive services that a person can get either free or at a very reduced cost through Medicare. Medicare is trying to spend more money on prevention, frankly, so that they spend less money on the back end on services when some of these diseases have cropped up and they're more costly to manage. So the main thing we want people to be aware of is that we do have some pamphlets available. This is one right here. And these are available at our offices, or you can get them online. You can go to www.cms.gov to get this. They're free. You can download it however you want to get it. But this type of information is free if you're 65 or older and you've got Medicare and you're not sure what kind of preventive services are available. Get this booklet. It's free, and it'll tell you all the ins and outs of each of these kinds. And I haven't even mentioned all of the preventive services that are available.
There are a number, and we want you to keep up on these type of things. Another good website, in addition to our own, is Medicare.gov. Of course, our own Social Security is socialsecurity.gov, but Medicare.gov can also bring you up to date on many of these things that Dennis is discussing at this time, so keep that in mind. Another thing that is going on right now is the fact that we are at war, have been now for several years. We have a process for that. And it seems like to me that many of these processes that we have in place came about as a result of the bombing of the Murrah building here in Oklahoma City. We came up with a lot of things that we hadn't done before, didn't know how to do, but now we have a process in place to help what we call wounded warriors. And I thought you might want to mention that here today.
Usually when people talk about wounded warriors, they're thinking about veterans who are returning back from Iraq or Afghanistan, have been wounded over there. And this term certainly applies to them in Social Security, but it also applies to anybody who's been injured in the military service so that they are unable to hold a regular job. So for those people, when it comes time for them to apply for disability, we do have a process to expedite their claims. That's the big point we want to make, so that we know that a veteran that's coming back in that situation has got a ton of things to do. There's a lot of rehab, a lot of medical treatments, and a lot of adjustments to make. So we're trying to make the disability process under Social Security as simple and as fast as possible. And that's really what this expedited process is all about. So they don't have to come in and say, I want that expedited process. They just have to come in and say, give us the information. And when we know that they're a veteran and they've been wounded while in the military service, we will automatically expedite their claim so they'll get a disability decision a lot faster.
Okay, Dennis, thank you very much. And again, I'm Larry Jones from Oklahoma City with the Social Security Office. Dennis Purifoy from Moore is our guest as we continue our focus on Social Security today as a part of Oklahoma Politics and You. Another thing that's going on is a very busy end of the year, the end of 2007, which really doesn't seem possible, but we know that we'll have a lot of people retiring, and Dennis, probably even more so this time around than in prior years, because the baby boom generation is getting ready to retire. In fact, they're signing up for their benefits at this time or getting their appointments available right now. And one of the things that we want to remind people that are looking to retire is keep us up to date on your earnings and what you think you'll make next year, because particularly in that year that you file for benefits, this is very important. So this is one thing that I wanted you to bring out here today.
That's a good point, Larry. As we reach the end of the year, it's a good time to remind people who are under the full retirement age, and they are subject to earnings limits under Social Security retirement. If they've changed the amount that they're estimated they were going to earn, they need to let us know that. As most people know, there is a limit of how much you can make when you're under that full retirement age and still get Social Security benefits. So when a person files for retirement like you were talking about, we ask them how much they expect to make, and we pay them on that basis. But if they earn more than that and they don't report it to us, there's a chance they might get overpaid. So we want to take this time to remind people, if you have, and good for you if you've done that, earned more than you expected to make, you might want to report it to us because it could affect how much you're due from Social Security.
Talking about a lot of things, and I was wondering, do you want to tackle the full retirement age on this broadcast, or maybe give us the thumbnail sketch of this
thing? Well, we probably ought to remind people about that. The full retirement age, we're in the process right now over a period of many years of increasing the full retirement age, that is the age to get an unreduced Social Security check, from 65, which it had been for years and years, up to age 67. That will be phased in over a number of years. For most people right now, it's a little bit less than age 66, people who are retiring now. And then we'll hit a period of time where it'll be 66 for a lot of people. But it's gradually going up to age 67. So whatever that full retirement age is for an individual person, that's the age at which from that point on there are no limits on how much they can earn under Social Security. And that's the age at which they get a check that's not reduced for drawing it before that for age.
And we want to remind you that on our website at socialsecurity.gov that there's answers to many questions like this. And really the title of our next article here is Don't Be Scared to Apply Online. And I think probably at this point, with the boomers coming of age, this is the message that we want to get across, maybe more than anything else. We want our baby boom generation, those that are going to be applying, to apply using the Social Security website. It's easier for them, obviously, the time and the effort. It's a lot easier for us with the traffic that we have, particularly at the first of the year, which is coming up. So this is big at this point in time.
Absolutely. We want to encourage anybody who is comfortable on the web to use that to file for their Social Security retirement. That's optional. People can file on the web, they can call us over the phone, do it over the phone, they can come in the office. But increasingly we're finding that a lot more people are comfortable on the web, and part of it is over the years people are getting more comfortable with the kinds of firewalls and things that are built into websites that make that information on the websites confidential and secure. Social Security uses state-of-the-art software for that and have a really good record on that. So we want to encourage people. You can file for your Social Security retirement online. It is safe, secure, and it's convenient. If you like going on the web and want to save some time, boy, that's the way to go.
It is, and of course what happens with that is you can do it on your own schedule.
Absolutely.
You can even break away and come back the next day because you have a key word that lets you back into the system to continue your claim. And I was looking here at some of the offerings that we have, Dennis, as far as the website is concerned, and I think you were particularly excited about the fact that it's not just for people who maybe want to look at the history page or actually file for benefits. There's a lot more services here as well.
Absolutely. There's a spot on our website that you can go in and it says information for, and it has a lot of different groups listed. You can scroll down and click. For example, if you're a financial planner, there's a place you can click on there, and it'll bring up a special part of our website that has information for financial planners. If you are a human resources professional, for example, you work for a large employer, there's a place on there you can click. If you work for a school and you do the reports for Social Security for students, there's a place there that you can click. We mentioned immigration. If you're an immigrant and you want to know about different aspects of Social Security and how specifically immigrants are affected.
And you can get it in different languages too.
You can get it in different languages. There's a place for immigrants. There's a place on there for attorneys who represent people with Social Security claims, for example. There's a place on there if you have TRICARE and you wonder about how that interfaces with Medicare. There's a place for that. There's a place for kids. Social Security's got some part of our website that's specifically designed for children. For people who are self-employed, there's a special place on there for them. So there's lots of places on our website that are specifically geared to different kinds of people, different professions and so forth, and we want to encourage people to take advantage of that. While I'm talking about that, for human resource people,
okay,
we do have a special CD that's available to them about planning for Social Security retirement. This really talks about all the different services that are available online. We've mentioned the filing for retirement, but there's also the benefit planners where a person can go in and enter in different information and get different estimates of how much they could draw on Social Security. So all kinds of things about retirement planning available to human resource professionals. We want to make sure that they know about that. If you're interested in that, give us a call at one of our offices and we'll get one of those CDs out to you.
And another thing we're going to be trying to do, by the way, as far as those are concerned, those CDs, is we are doing a large employer outreach campaign at this time. We're trying to go to the HR people, the representatives who really have their thumb on the pulse of the workforce in Oklahoma and around the nation. So this is a critical time to be getting that out.
Absolutely, that's a good point.
Okay, we're going to go to the mailbox now. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the questions that you have regarding Social Security. And in fact, we've covered some of these already, at least to a degree, but it'll give us a chance to get more in depth. And question number one actually comes from a person here in Norman who says, I'm a retired worker. It looks like I underestimated when I reported my expected earnings to Social Security. Do I need to report this?
Probably yes. The answer is go ahead and report it to make sure. There is a limit on how much a person can make, and sometimes a person can increase their earnings and still not go over that limit. But if you're not sure what that limit is, you need to call us or write us and say, here's what I'm going to make this year. I think I estimated a different amount earlier, so let me go ahead and report that. If you can call us. We haven't given our 800 number out, so we'll do that.
Okay.
800-772-1213. People can call that from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and report. You can come into our offices. So however it's convenient for you to report that, but you do need to do it.
Okay. Question number two, how many years do I need to work to make sure I'm eligible for Social Security retirement benefits? And of course, this can have a big impact on the actual amount of money you're going to receive from Social Security.
Absolutely. For people who are reaching retirement age now, everybody has to have what we call 40 credits. That's equivalent to about 10 years of work if you just work steady, because you would get 4 credits per year when you work steady. So we're talking equivalent of 10 years of work. Now, what people should not confuse is that doesn't determine how much a person draws. That just determines their eligibility for a check. So that's one distinction I want to make. In 2007, if you want to earn the 4 credits, for every $1,000 you earn, you get 1 credit. So if you're just earning $4,000 in 2007, you'd get that 4 credits for 2007.
Another question, this time regarding disability from Oklahoma City. My son was injured while in the military. He's now in a rehab center. It'll be a year before he's able to work again, and really that year is a key figure right there. Can he apply for disability benefits?
Yes, that year is a key figure because the definition of disability under Social Security is the prognosis has to be that the person would be unable to work for at least a year. So yes, this veteran should go ahead and apply for benefits now. They don't have to wait until they've been off a year. They need to go ahead and apply now and see what the prognosis is. One other thing I'll mention about that is you can start the process for disability benefits online.
That's right.
So the person that's the guy that's in the rehab center, he can just get online and start the process right there. He doesn't even have to come in to see us unless he just really wants to.
A lot of people come into our offices and say, well, I need to apply for disability, but maybe I've never seen a doctor or haven't seen the right doctor regarding what I'm having a problem with. So this next question is right in line with that last one. I applied for disability benefits because of my back problems. The disability office sent me a letter saying I had to go back to the doctor for more tests. Now, do I have to pay for these tests?
Now that's a good question. Social Security does send applicants for disability to doctors if the medical records that we get from the doctors who've been treating them are not totally adequate for us to make a decision. Sometimes we have to get some kind of specific test, sometimes there's other things that we need, but when we do send somebody to a doctor, we pay for it. Now, when we send somebody to a doctor, it's not for treatment, it's just for evaluation. So that's one thing I want to emphasize. Sometimes when a person goes to the doctor, they're expecting the doctor to go ahead and follow up and treat them. But when we send somebody to a doctor, it's purely for evaluation. We may ask even just for one specific test or something like that. But anyway, the answer to this person's question is when we send someone to a doctor, we pay for it.
And of course, here on the program, generally we talk a lot about regular Social Security and how all that plays out. In fact, that's what we've talked about for the predominant part of today. But here's one from SSI that I think is very good, and one that we might want to expand on just a bit. I get supplemental security income, we call it SSI, and I started working as a telemarketer. I only make about $100 or $200 per month. So what's the best way to report my wages to Social Security?
We encourage people who get SSI to report their wages to Social Security on a monthly basis because their SSI is figured on a monthly basis. So how they report that is when they get their pay stubs on a monthly basis, they would copy that pay stub or bring it into us and we'll copy it so that we can keep up with what they're earning and keep their pay accurate so they don't get overpaid or that they don't get underpaid. Now, one other thing I'll point out about working and drawing SSI, the first $65 that a person earns doesn't count against them, and just half of what they earn above that $65 counts. So a person that's on SSI and considering going to work,
okay,
almost always they're going to be ahead by working. They'll come out with more money in their pocket. So it's a good deal for a person on SSI to try to work.
And here's our final question of the day. I get social or supplemental security income because I'm unable to work. My mom recently died and left me money in her bank account. Will this extra money affect my SSI benefits, and will my SSI payment stop?
Well, it could affect this person's SSI because SSI is a needs-based program that's based on both the income that a person has on a regular basis and their financial resources. So in this case, they would be getting, it counts as income in the month that they get that, so they may not be eligible for SSI for that month. After that, it counts as a resource, and the limit that a person can have for a resource is $2,000.
Okay.
So if the resource is less than that, they would continue to draw Social Security, SSI. If it's more than that, they would not get the SSI until their resources go down below that $2,000.
Well, Dennis, we've covered a whole lot of material today on the program. I can't believe it, but I still have time for one more issue. Is the extra help available for prescription drugs? Is that still out there at this time?
That is still available. The extra help on Part D or the prescription drug part of Medicare is still available. What that means is for people that have lower incomes, they can, that part of Medicare, the Part D of Medicare, may be available for free to them or at a much lower cost. And if a person's circumstances have changed, where they don't have the income they used to or they just never have checked into it, we encourage people to go online or call us and find out if they're eligible for that extra help for that Part D of Medicare.
Hard to believe that we're near the end of another year, and basically that's where we are. I can't remember how many years we've been doing this program with Kathy on the Oklahoma politics and you. It's been a number, but are there any closing comments you'd like to make as we approach the year 2008?
Well, I'll just give everybody our internet site again. It's www.socialsecurity.gov. We've mentioned the Medicare website, www.medicare.gov. Those are always good sources of information. We've presented a whole lot of information pretty fast in this program. So if you do have any questions, call us, click, or come in.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. We enjoyed the program. And now for Dennis Purefoy, I'm Larry Jones. Thanks for watching.